for joining us for this international meet between India and Italy. And I don't want to give you guys much spoilers, but today we are going to have four amazing speakers, two from Italy, two from India, sharing their unfiltered stories about how they are practicing independently and running a design practice or a studio. And at the end, we will also have a little moderated discussion and some question answer session. So, why this topic, independent yet connected? So, we saw there were a lot of conversations in SDD India as well as in SDD Milan that people really think about how do they go independent. So, a question: how many of you have ever thought they want to go independent or have an independent practice? Just raise hands. Have any of you thought it before? No? Yes? Okay. Nice. So, but I know everyone has that same feeling of fear, of doubt, also of excitement, and also of how to start it. So we thought, why not create a space here at SDD and talk about it in two different contexts, diverse countries, India and Italy, and learn from the people who have, I would say, bravely carved their path and are running a successful independent practices. So the unfiltered stories behind their design practice. So for the people who have joined us for the first time here, a little introduction about service design drinks. So service design drinks are open informal meetings to bring Milan service design community together. We are completely independent. We are run by volunteers totally. And we connect everyone interested in service design, user experience, customer experience, design thinking, technology to share experiences, expand knowledge, and create new opportunities. And here is our amazing team. This is me, Reeti. Hi, I'm a service and strategy designer based in Italy and originally from India. And I work along with this amazing team, which includes Silvia Rossetti, Giulia Di Gregorio, Andrea, Glenda, Elena, Manfredi, Giulia, and more than 10 friends and volunteers who help us in this running the SDD Milan team. We have done till now 57 events, and it's been 11 years since we have been running this. We have invited more than 150 speakers who are from agencies, MNCs, and also our community members. And we have around 3+ event formats, including editorial events and conferences and panel discussions. Now I would like to welcome Saksham from SDD India to introduce SDD India.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining in. Really exciting to be having this. We've been planning this for a while now. My name is Saksham. I'm a strategic designer based in Bangalore and also part of SDD India team. SDD India, much like Milan, continuing the legacy, also a volunteer-driven organization. We're registered as a non-profit organization here, and again supporting the ecosystem, growing the practice in India. Most of the chunk is based in Bangalore, but also with chapters in Pune, Mumbai, occasionally Delhi. So yeah, next one. And that's us. Ananya, Shreya, Sakshi, Jui, Punita, Purva, Sujit, and many other friends and volunteers who make it happen every day and motivate us to keep going. Next one. So we started back in 2019. It's been more than 6 years now, and organized more than 15 events, including panel discussions, workshops, and many more informal coffee catch ups. We are now a not so small community of 800, about 800 members, with a great mix of students, early career professionals, seasoned professionals across industries. And we also put out ST Bytes magazine every 3 months, and State of Service Design in India report every 2 years. Two really insightful and helpful reads for every service design enthusiast out there. Uh, Again, entirely driven by a team of volunteers, uh, constantly working hard to bring the knowledge out there for everyone. So keep an eye for both of these. And that's probably it. Thank you, Reeti. Over to you.
Thank you, Saksham. So now I would like to introduce our speakers today, and I think you are also as excited as I am for the session. So our first speaker is Vincenzo Di Maria. He is a partner and service design lead at Common Ground SRL. Our second speaker is Sonali Gogia. She is a customer experience specialist at Sonali Gogia. Our third speaker is Lais Cantor Caserta. She's the founder and creative director at Good Base. And our fourth speaker is Iti Seth. She's a partner at Tremhouse. So, okay, so the first and the third speaker is from Italy, and the second and the fourth speaker is from India. So let's get started, guys. So let's welcome Vincenzo Di Maria, who works between teaching and practice.
And thank you.
Yeah, just a minute.
You should be able to see my screen now.
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, then we kick off. Thank you for the invitation, Reti and Saksham, and thank you for organizing this moment of reflection. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vincenzo Di Maria. I'm based in Bologna, in the north of Italy, and I'm gonna tell you a bit about my story. My story started far away, actually, in the deep south of Italy. And when I the first time read Small is Beautiful by Ernst Friedrich Schumacher, a book been written in the 70s, he talks about economies and system, but I always read it as a statement about professional choices. You know, I come from a small fisherman village in the south of Sicily, and moving to Rome to study design for me was already a big choice. I was lucky enough because both of my parents were architects, so we're opening my mind, and I was curious enough to take the big leap and do something else than the traditional studies or whatever universities. I had the opportunity to go and study in the UK after my third year of industrial product design in Rome, and that was a crucial choice. When I landed in Exeter, I was studying at Plymouth University for 6 months. I had the opportunity to meet people who were working at IDEO. They took us very often to London, and it was quite vibrant time to be in London. It was the time where the Double Diamond was released at the Design Council, where the very first service design drinks were happening in 2008, 2009, so really ages ago. And that's why I decided to study a master at Central St. Martin in London, which is part of the University of the Arts. And I had the opportunity as well to work across different projects where multi-stakeholder projects were involved, not just one single organization. So I start practicing design, not just working within an organization, but across organizations. And after 7 years, nearly 8 years in London, I felt quite, I don't know, I'll say pressured by the idea of being the best at what I was doing. My idea of growth at that time was, I can grow bigger and bigger. I can start a company. And I did start a company at the time. And I thought, what's going to be after London? But I really felt the need and the urge to slow down a bit and refocus on what it was really important for me. That's why I moved to Lisbon in Portugal. And I think these small intentional choices across my career were quite crucial to to what I became as a designer. I graduated in 2008 from my master. I was working at a research center called Design Against Crime, part of the university. That was my little, let's say, professional experience, was working as a design researcher. I happened to win a couple of student design award with the Royal Society of the Arts, an organization based in the UK, which I'm fellow still nowadays. And we did some projects with the Design Council, Nesta, who are charities involved around the sphere of design, social innovation. I also was hanging out across international summer school with the Social Innovation Exchange. My idea of design was taking design where is most needed, which, of course, design is needed in big corporates. Design is needed to improve products, services, and experiences, but design brings together communities, and that's why I founded Common Ground. At that point, why I founded a company? Because I was looking at agencies around me, and as I was saying, it was a very vibrant time in London because there were Participle, Engine, Livework, some of the major service design, leading, let's say, service design agencies also start hanging around across service design drinks and other happenings. However, I didn't really fit. I don't know. I was feeling that I wanted to do something else. So even if I didn't have a very entrepreneurial attitude, I found myself to be a founder of a design studio. And across the past, let's say, 15 years, we've been working a lot in service design projects, design research, market validation, working as well with startups and SMEs. We're doing a lot of teaching and professional training. What is the difference? Teaching, we've done that across universities. We've been running summer courses at Central St. Martin in London. We've been working with the Poly Design Master in Service Design in Milan. We've been working with the European Institute of Design in Madrid, with some business school in Paris. And at some point, we decided to take a summer course as well to Sicily, which was interesting because we're doing something called Service Design South, taking service design to the south of the world. And that was a bit of our flagship program. And apart from that, we've been doing a lot of facilitation type of work, which is not just running workshops, but it's using co-design formats, design sprint, design jams, and so many others to help clients and organizations to work better together. Growth is not linear and learning rarely is. So I had to really think about what I wanted to do next. When I was living in Lisbon, I was thinking about, should I do an MBA? Should I do a PhD? Should I go for the academic choice and keep teaching? Or should I go for the more strategic business side? And at the end, I had the opportunity to do a PhD in Copenhagen, and I was really thinking about it. It was about service design in the public sector. But I decided to go back to Sicily. And for 4 years, I was based in Syracuse, really in the center of Mediterranean, to try to pull up another project called Impact Hub. It was called Impact Hub Syracuse, where we were looking at Mediterranean change makers. We're trying creating a community, a Mediterranean level of social entrepreneurs, creative people, digital nomads, local heroes that could boost innovation across that region. It was challenging. It was really challenging. Going back home and taking all the experience from 10 years of being living, working, and studying abroad, and then going back home, I thought it was going to be the ending point of my story, but it wasn't. And 8 years ago, I moved to Bologna, where I'm based at the moment. I'm working and teaching at the University of Bologna as well for the past 8 years in a course of service design. And we relaunched Common Ground from a UK limited company to an Italian studio. And that, I think, was as well our switch. Did we want to become an agency producing interfaces and creating digital products, or we wanted to remain a quite specific studio where we could be quite vertical in stakeholder engagement, co-design, participatory processes. And what we realized with our clients and the type of projects we did, that we were ending up working with foundation, with local institutions, because they were trying to bring different organizations together, corporates, startups, SMEs, third sector, public sector, to create shared value. And that's where I think our focus became. Me and my associate Claudia, here we are mocking up Eames' famous picture in our studio. So we moved to Bologna, we relaunched our studio, a place to study, a place to learn, a place to share with communities. And we specialize in designing between organizations rather than within a single organization. Of course, we keep having traditional clients, shopping centers or consultancy type of work, and we still do a lot of training, teaching, but this is our core at the moment. And during the pandemic, where I had to make few other choices, like having a baby, buying a house, settling down a bit after many years of moving around, I also wrote a book. Unfortunately, it's only in Italian, the book, and it's called Start Small. It goes back to the sort of small is beautiful, the idea of bringing design in small bites within large organization or helping small organization to invest their first 5K in service, get a pharmacy to start believing that service design is an option for what they're doing and that can improve not just their experience, but also their operations. This is what I've been trying to do over the past 5 years. So taking service design where it's still missing. And last but not least, Bologna, it's a smaller city compared to Milan. It's a smaller city compared to Rome, Lisbon, or London, which are other cities where I've been living. But it's a great community. And there was an initiative by some pioneers before the pandemic. They've been doing service design drinks and jams. After the pandemic, things start slow down and startups, AI start taking over the conversation. Well, we're bringing that conversation back, and we just relaunched at the beginning of 2026 our new chapter. Let's say renew chapter, because there's some old faces and old friends and colleagues that have been helping pulling this up. And we are about to run our second session next week. I think it's going to be on the 19th, I believe. It's going to be about service designer working under track, undercover, because it's carnival and nobody every day called himself or herself a service designer. So we want to see where service design happening, even if it's not called so. So that was me.
Thank you, Vincenzo. Thanks a lot for the amazing talk. And guys, any questions for Vincenzo? His story, you like one takeaway that I took from his story was that it's all about the choices you make. So it's about how Vincenzo took the choice of, starting independently and making his life around it. So, guys, questions. Okay, let me open the chat and see if there are any questions. Don't shy away, guys.
I
We
think
have
there's
Sergey.
There is
Yeah.
Sergey.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Happy to see you today. And Vincenzo, thank you for your story. And one question. Could you give us an example of maybe some exciting particular case of your work, maybe from something from the recent or from the past, this kind of work that you described, that you are most specialized in? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Sergey. I can make an example maybe from our recent work, working with a foundation in the north of Italy, in the region of Piedmont. This foundation usually supports type of work that go towards creating healthcare services for neurodegenerative type of illnesses like Alzheimer, Parkinson, dementia. And usually they give the money straight to the sort of local institution, the health institute, the public institutions. And more recently, they start looking at the idea of social prescribing. So how can we get your GP, your doctor, together with traditional therapeutical plans prescribing you other type of services like the Alzheimer Cafe or dancing tango or having some other social activities. Now, in order to do this, the foundation wanted to give a lot of money. We're talking about nearly €1 million, not just to the local healthcare institution, but wanted to see different type of innovative projects that could set up, let's say, a catalog of services that can be prescribed next to therapy. Now, in order to do that, the foundation brought together public institutions, private foundations, religious institutions, and third sector actors that were they were on the field, so it's also quite complicated. We're talking about Cuneo for people that are wondering about, and we were working with CRC, which is Cassa di Risparmio di Cuneo, is a foundation that work in that area. So the idea of running a set of workshops to help the foundations and the different stakeholders that speak different languages. Public sector, very institutional, very worried about, liabilities and a few other things about the scientific value of what they're doing as a theoretical effort, and then working with the third sector that do Tai Chi, and it's not very scientific, but still useful to that cause to bring together people. It was about how do we shape a range of services that could be funded by the foundation and could be delivered. And it's about understanding the type of governance that can be possible to make those services possible. How do you get different organizations working together to co-design and then to co-deliver, to co-produce this kind of services for a wider value, a bigger value? So that is about creating community. And this type of ecosystemic projects, we're working like this as well in the startup system in Sicily with a social enterprise based in Catania. We've been working here in Emilia-Romagna with clusters of private organization and businesses to try to create Academy di Filiera, which is a bit of a industry academy, which are institutional training programs that could go across different sectors. And, our clients are not just a singular company, but they're asking us to create share value with our work.
If I may, could you elaborate on how did you manage to put all these stakeholders, or maybe partially, by the table, and which format have you been implementing to work with them?
Luckily, the stakeholders were attracted by the foundation with the promise of big funding. So they had a real interest to be there, and they wanted to respond. And the trick is the first year that the foundation was asking them to work together to elaborate not just their traditional services, not just pushing their traditional services, but creating new services. And that's the idea of we did a lot of research before, so we did qualitative research interviews. We did some profiling as well, understanding, okay, we're talking about caregivers and how do we support caregivers locally, and how can these different organizations can do it together as well. And it was challenging, especially from the public sector, because they were used to get the money automatically to do their services. So the idea of working together, the third sector, was a bit unsettling for them. And that's where we had to work a lot with decision makers and policy makers in order to accept the idea that things can be done differently. We ran a series of workshops, and we elaborated as well some ideas and proposals. And then they responded to the actual bid that the foundation did. So that's up to the foundation continuing the work, selecting the projects to fund. That was the specific intervention with it. We would love to be involved in the other side, which is actually the doing part, the actually delivering the services.
Sorry, one more question. Again, the same topic. Have you been using some kind of preset, pre-designed frameworks, or you had to customize specifically for this project?
We do fish from a lot of existing methodologies, even the facilitation methodology. We're a little bit liberating structures, game storming, art of hosting, open space technology. So we do a specific blend according to the specific occasion. We are like Neo in the Matrix. We know all the methodologies and we try to adapt them. Of course, we wanted to build journey maps. We did journey maps. What is the journey of the caregiver? What is the journey of the patients over a life cycle? So we are using service design methodologies to map and project and increase share visibility of the problem. But then when it comes about the specific workshop setting, we didn't do a design sprint. We didn't do a design jam. It was a workshop thread through different methodologies.
Great.
Okay.
We're quite experts in that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Vincenzo, and thank you, Sergio, for the question. And let's move on to the next speaker. And the other questions we'll address at the end of the session. Uh, so, welcome Sonali Gogia. She's an independent customer experience specialist based between Mumbai and Dubai. With over 2 decades of work experience across luxury, retail, and services, she brings a sharp lens on relationships and journeys. And it's interesting to know that there is a unique, or you can say special relation between our first speaker and our second speaker. So Sonali is a student of Vincenzo Di Maria around, I think, 12 years ago. So this makes the conversation even more meaningful and interesting. So welcome, Sonali, and you can share your screen now.
Hello, everybody. Okay, let me do that. Yeah, okay. So thanks for the introduction. And it was always great to hear Vincenzo's really inspiring story. And I was looking forward to more hearing more Q&A, but yeah, we have to move on. So the way I designed these 5 minutes is around life lessons because I've had almost 25-year career journey, and I just wanted to pick things that I felt were, really relevant to my struggles as a solopreneur. And I use that term because I chose to be independent for many reasons. And one of them, I never really saw myself as an entrepreneur. Like I had a fear of scaling, having a team, paying salaries every month, all those things. Also losing freedom, which I wanted after a corporate career, even creative freedom and general lifestyle freedom. So I kind of always really determined that I'll build my career as a solopreneur, but that does come with its challenges. So it's now been 10 years, and I came back after I was doing my master's in Milan. I came back end of 2015 to India. I was based in Mumbai. And from 2016, I decided I didn't fit in anywhere in any organization. And it was almost like I was dying to just go and, share my new, skills. And yeah, it's been 10 years. I'm actually based in Dubai now. It's been a few years where I shuttle between Dubai and Mumbai. So many changes. So let's go through the things that I learned and I thought would be useful to share with you all. I've kind of split it into 3 buckets. The first is building confidence because trust me, especially when it's being a solopreneur stuff, but doing it in a field and you come back to India and nobody knows what you did. Your parents don't know why you quit this great job and went to you did your master's in service design. And now you have to go and pitch it to Indian clients. So it was very daunting the first 6 months of even putting my voice to my service. And how I overcame that is what I want to talk about. And the second is adapting, because there was like coming back to India, and 10 years ago, service design was even more very nascent. And then COVID happened. And then I was living out of like Goa in a remote village. And then we moved to Dubai. And so I've actually had to reinvent what I do and survive as a solopreneur. So I had to kind of start from scratch 3 times in the last decade. The third is, of course, like my own internal fears, because if you want to be a solopreneur, you have limitations, right? Service design, even as a service, you need multiple skills to make that happen. And you are limited by yourself. And, you feel it. How do you face a client? Because there are things you can't do that agencies can do. So how do you be transparent about that? Yeah. So let's start with the first topic of building confidence. It was about me. I understand, finding that voice to say I know where I can add value to that client. It was like them being open to conversations, but I wasn't too sure because when I finished my masters, I did work with Logotel in Milan. People in Milan must be aware of them. I actually came from a retail background. I used to work for the L'Oreal luxury brands. I was like their training manager because I'm a soft skills trainer. So when I decided to go into service design, is because I just felt there was an empathy gap. So I was very driven personally that, organizations want good customer experiences, but they themselves have no empathy for their employees. And anyway, so I was like, it was a personal passion. So when I want to learn service design, I thought here these human-centered tools will help me enhance what I do. So I wasn't really like, I feel like I never defined myself as a service designer. I just thought that it's a skill set that will help me do what I need to do, along with other things that I had learned in my career so far. So when I started going out there, I faced rejection. I faced in India. I faced it again when I came to Dubai. Like there were like 6 months of like, clients and even agencies. I was, reaching out to all kinds of people. Dubai is, for example, not a really independent person. It's very structured. Like large companies want to work with large agencies. I struggled a lot, kind of. And I always gone into depression. I felt all those like, should I get a job? I've gone through that cycle. It's also, there's a lot of complexity because like when you're pitching yourself, what can you do end to end? Like there are things, because clients today are not just wanting workshops, or they want like impact, business impact, and they want like these solutions to like be implemented. So I'm like, oh, I can help you create a service blueprint, but then what? So it was very intimidating for me to answer those questions. And so I did feel a lot of imposter syndrome. So where I arrived at overcoming these things, some of the lessons now, I had to be unique because in the last decade, design has grown. There are a lot of designers, there are a lot of agencies, a lot of people doing different things, whether it's design thinking, innovation. Here, they use the word customer experience in Dubai. Language keeps changing, but there's a lot happening in the field. So how am I unique? That as an independent person, I can charge a good enough fee that people would hire me. I realized being generalist wasn't working and just go to any brand industry and say, I can help you improve your service experience. I decided to go with a niche positioning, which I'll share with you. So then I stand out. So if I stand out enough, even like agencies will want to use me when they are, pitching to bigger clients. The third thing is, like I said, being multidisciplinary, like really understanding, like I was a management consultant when I started my career. So I understand project management and business impact. I did then become a behavioral trainer when I worked, and then I worked in retail. So I have industry experience. I have a master's in service design. And then what? Like recently I did my certification from the CXP in customer experience. So it is ongoing. You never stop skilling, but pitching yourself as multidisciplinary differentiates you from others, because I just feel like I'm not saying like, I know I'm like, sometimes I'm smart, sometimes I'm a service designer, depends on the audience, sometimes I pitch something else, like, but I just feel like I don't want to define myself as one thing. And then of course learning to use those skills to focus on implementation impact. So how to change the way I design projects. I feel to, and not just be like a nice to have, like a one-day workshop. And how do I make those one days into projects? Because when you're independent, you can't keep chasing business, right? You need to have longer projects just, to overcome that fatigue. It's a practical thing. I just picked a slide from one of my decks. Like this is the deck I send clients. It's very simple. I call out my expertise. I list my experience, like starting from my first like consulting experience to my training company I work with, then retail, then service design. And then I also have like one collaboration, which I will talk about, where I do more digital experience design, something I had to do in COVID. But I'll talk about it when I talk about adaptation. And now I call myself an independent CX consultant because it allows me to wear very many hats and do different things. I just feel like these are my credibility credentials, and I change the expertise depending on the client. Like if it's an industry, I call out a different industry. I may call out different skills, but I've tried to create something that just talks about who I am. Where earlier I feel like I struggled a lot to just try to be like one thing. And so now learning to adapt. So I want to talk about like how they're constantly, when I was moving countries, places, there are always new gaps, right, that emerge even as service design and clients evolve. And I realized I had to reinvent myself many times. Okay, I also talk about upskilling and maintaining expertise in new markets. And I learned to listen to clients' language because, when you are a subject domain expert, you go out and you talk a lot about what you do. I was so excited when I started. I'm like, these are the tools we use as designer, and we do cross-functional workshops and we do journey maps, and clients would be like, so what, so what? And if you know Indian clients, they're very much focused on results, and they're very practical. So they always want to know the bottom line, right? So I realized like I need to package my service in a language that speaks to them. So that was, so yeah, these are some of the, lessons. So let me tell you, like when I talk about reinvention. So when I came back from India, I was excited. So this was my branding, the service project. Okay. Since I had a retail background, I thought, let me build on that. Because even, Logotel had, like, I worked with Xenia for a year, like a lot of luxury clients, and it just became an organic niche for me. And I would go around with my website, the service project, and I'd go on saying, like, I'll design your experience and then I can also train your staff, because I can then create this custom made module around that experience, your signature experience, because I had done those kind of projects when I was working in Milan. And then I started doing, I don't know, work came, and I had like 5 clients like the month before COVID hit. Like they were all like different retail brands, small, mid-sized Indian, some international. And clients were open to understanding it. And I created my own format. And then all the shops shut down in COVID. And then we moved to Goa. And then for 3 years during that period for Mumbai, and those clients were all e-commerce and doing sales on WhatsApp. So I didn't know how to serve them. I had no work for a bit. And then I found someone who's like a digital strategist, a young lady called Simran, who was, a digital strategist worked in Ernst & Young consulting for many years. And she kept telling me that, tech needs a human voice. So she pushed me to collaborate. And there was a very different world for me. So BoltWorks looks at the digital experience. So then I started using all my skills, which I could, and then we also used a lot of Miro boards and I started doing the same thing, like the journey mapping, the user research, everything was like about, like, now the digital omni-channel. And India went into this D2C boom where it was like, I don't know, we had so many startups, so much, everybody wanted to like improve their customer experience. Like something very big happened at that point, and we were very busy nonstop. And tech work is different from what I was doing. I was doing like high billing, like I'd created a format that was little work for a lot of money. Tech is interesting, but it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work, a lot of complexity. But so we needed a team. So I was forced into being an entrepreneur and hiring people, but I had it with a partner. So that like helped me go through that. And then finally we moved to Dubai. And so I tried to keep BoltWorks going remotely in India because, it was easy, 90-minute different in time zones. But at the same time, Dubai had a whole different language of customer experience, service design. It was evolved in a different way. There was so much talent here, European talent, everybody, a lot of people. Because I come from retail, like most of my clients had an understanding of the field. So, but it's also evolved because there's a lot of competition here in terms of I would say today talent. So I decided, like, I had become a generalist in India. I was doing D2C brands. I would do healthcare, whoever came to me. But now I'm like, okay, let me go luxury retail because that's like the fastest evolving right now. The focus on customer experience is big, and so then I redesigned my website, and I decided just to be sonaligogia.com because you reach a phase in your career where you don't associate with the brand, you don't associate with one identity. Then I wanted complete freedom. And that's the phase I'm in now, which I'm enjoying thoroughly because I'm like, this is who I am and I can do many things. And even under this website, I do many things, other things that I want to have, other partnerships and collaborations. So that's what I mean by reinventing. So yeah, overcoming fears is that, okay, I had a fear of having a team. I was able to do that with Bolt because, as I said, I have a partner. It's shared pressure, shared responsibility. And I'm so happy. We have like a UX designer. We have like a tech developer. Like we have a small all-girl team with just like 5 of us. And so we do very different kind of clients. They're more India focused. At the same time, so I said at Risco, I learned in Dubai that I can't be alone. Like I can't fully function alone, at least when I'm in a new place to build my brand. So I partnered with like say CXG's customer experience group. They're big, they're global. I found another HR person who's like focused on luxury. And I started being a consultant to consultants. And that gave me at least entry into larger projects. And now I do some small things on the side as well. So I think like today I would say after 10 years, I'm in a good space because like I understand how I can maintain that lifestyle, that personal identity and creative freedom. At the same time, I realized like I need other relationships and partnerships to complement how I work. And I just want to put like my client portfolio, because I just wanted to highlight a few things that, so this is my portfolio. Not everybody's a direct client. Okay. You know, I did Louis Vuitton a year ago. I wouldn't have been able to do that alone, because it was a global mandate, right? They wouldn't look at a solopreneur. I could overcome that limitation with a partnership. I did tag by myself, as delivered it because the scope was small. We had to prepare them to elevate the experience for Dubai Watch Week last year. But I got the project with the partner because the person who manages the HR, they outsourced the HR here to a like specialist. She found my website. I'm like a bit shocked that Google worked for me, but yes, that was interesting. Then, like, there's one project I did with the government in Abu Dhabi last year, where they wanted to create a signature experience for the city to create like a flavor that distinguishes them all from Dubai. And this was a big project, and I got to work with cross-functional workshop stuff, like someone from like head of the mall, from the brands. It was like, I would have never been able to do it, right? I did that in partnership with CXG. So, and then you have very small clients here, people you won't recognize, like Indian clients, like, you know, they're growing retail brands like Kalki, like 18 stores, bridal wear. They're one of my active India clients. You know, I'm doing some duty-free training and creating some brand storytelling experiences for like a single brand, which I'm again doing in collaboration with someone. So I do feel like I don't restrict myself. I'm not looking to work for big brands, but I feel like it does help my portfolio. And I think through like partnerships, I can get access, more credibility. But as I see 3 years into Dubai, as now I have my portfolio, I know I can go direct to companies as well. So I think like it's that, again, me building that confidence, because I'm in a new market, a new space. I have to rebuild a little bit. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. As of now, I would say my success metrics, like as a solopreneur, like you need your own. So I would say one for me is like, you know, because you can be like flexible with your finances. It's a tricky one because you don't have so many overheads. But I would say for me, the fact that I've been able to survive and grow in changing circumstances is one. The second is that I've been able to work with different kind of brands, even small like startups, D2C, and the biggest brands, different formats, different experts. So I never felt alone for too long. There were moments, but I feel like that variety has allowed me to, you know, feel fulfilled. Also, today I have to say my biggest joy, because a typical like consultant, like I don't enjoy business development. It's always been the stressful part of being alone, because when you know execute, you forget to do business development, and you get into that cycle. Then you have these empty months. It's cycle, and I've kind of overcome it. I don't know, for the last 2 years, like I haven't not had like a free moment, in the sense like, and like last year I really didn't even take a vacation because I'm working in 2 markets now. So I use those holidays for this and this, and like, you know, so it became a bit too much. I hope to do better for myself this year. So I don't think work-life balance is always a thing where you're by yourself. But I do zero, like right now, I've done zero active business development. I do my LinkedIn marketing, blah, 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 my blogs and everything. But because of my network of relationships, I see, and content, I've been getting a pipeline. I've just kicked off like I got a Nigerian client or something, a new market for me sitting in Dubai, the Africas. I never thought about that. So yeah, and I think being able to say no. So yeah, while work-life balance has largely been wonderful, I would say, over the last 10 years. But there are times when you're bottlenecks, because, you know, it's that feasting and fasting as a solopreneur. So like last year got too much. So I realized I needed to make better choices. I've said no to some work starting of this year. So that's about me. I'm sorry if I took too long. I try to keep it concise, but it's a long journey and a lot of experiences to share. So I will stop sharing now.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Sonali. Thanks a lot for your presentation. And let's have a quick question from Sonali. So, guys, any questions from your end? Anyone?
Hi, Sonali. This is Sudeshna. And seriously, you have a really unique and amazing profile, and the way you've accessed the global market, staying in India, is super impressive. I was just wondering, I just moved back to India and I'm trying to build out in a new market, and you covered a lot of it. But what is a good business structure maybe to have so that you can operate globally?
Okay, so thanks for the question. Can I just clarify? You're talking about operating as an independent or like as an agency when you mean like based out of India? Like, give me some context because I think my answer would
Yes.
differ.
So that would be like your solopreneurship journey. I want to operate independently as a consultant, but take projects across globally. But I've had a tough time
Sure.
A, reaching out to the client, and B, like having a structure that allows me to do that.
Yeah, I understand. So see, there are a couple of things to it. If I'm very honest, okay. The first thing is that you have to decide as an independent person how you want to position yourself. So one is you can say, when you're in India, you can say, this is what I do, and now you can outsource work to me, right? And most global clients will do it like how they outsource web work because you're cheaper. Okay? Then you'll do good enough work, but you'll do it at a better rate, okay, than say your European counterpart. So I thought a long time ago, I didn't want to reach out to clients like that and be like, oh, I can do service design, I can do user research, I can do these things, because I feel that that will not help me grow my personal brand. And I had an aspiration to build my personal brand, to be honest, to be able to tell my story, to say what I believe in. So I realized it's better to create a positioning that's niche so they come to you because you're doing things that not many other people can do. So then you can charge also a rate that is globally competitive. So that's one aspect of it, right? Like saying, so why would they come to you in India, right? Is that one question? So one is like, is it because you're cheap? Is it because you have a unique service to offer? So you have to create that and you have to communicate that. And it took me some time. But if you can communicate what you can do for them, then they will come to you. So I think for me, constructing that message was the most important thing. Yeah, does that kind of answer your question?
Definitely, really appreciate that. So, like, build a niche, communicate that messaging, and then we can kind of set up a value proposition. All right, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the questions, Sudeshna, and thank you, Sonali. It was a very interesting and a very inspiring talk, I must say. Thank you so much. Now, let's move on to our next speaker. So, our next speaker is from Italy. She is Lais Cantor. She's the founder of Good Base, moving between Milan and Venice, and her work centers on inclusive and accessible experiences where branding, UX, and social impact meet. So, welcome, Lais, and you can take over.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure to hear two different stories, which I didn't know about Vincenzo and Sonali. So thank you for sharing it. I don't know where do I need to click to share the screen, I must say. So,
Okay,
because I didn't test it when we did before. So if for you it's okay, maybe I tell you to move forward because I don't see.
Sure, I'll do it. No worries.
Okay. Thank you very much. Just a little hint. It's very interesting that one of the first events that I did in 2015 was Service Design Drinks and in Milan. They do a great job. So yeah, super. Like it's one of the communities that I'm like always impressed by what you do. I would try to keep as short as possible because like time pass. So in Good Base, we exist since a year and a half. So take this story as doesn't matter what I did in the past, but how this end up happening. So there was a part of a personal emotions. So like I wanted to open a studio since a long time, but to do that you always need somebody else. No, so in the beginning it was this try and error of like trying to do something with people that then gave up, basically. So a few years back, it was maybe around 2016, I don't know. I talked with these people and then, nothing happened. Finally, after a few years, it starts a line. So basically, my co-founder, we are three now, but let's say in the beginning was just, Nilo. We met a day and then he put a seed into my mind, basically like, what about we open something? So then after a few months, basically, I was in Budapest, not sleeping, And then I bought a domain. The day after, I met him in a call for event that calls Interaction. It was online. We had we were hosts. And then I asked him like, hey, do you remember that day you said this? Would you like to do that? And then he said yes. So basically we started this way. So it was finding the person where the stars align and then start to building the base out of it. So we did a timeline in Miro. We opened a Miro and then we start putting post-its of like, okay, let's find other people that want to build this. What are the values and so on. So then we start to create like that. You can move to the next one. Thank you, Riti. So then how other partners join. So basically it was me and Nilo. And then we started talking with other people, which they were great. They would like maybe to work with us, but they didn't want to, start to be like a partner and think about all the process. So yeah, we didn't really find the right people, like to start together. So we started just me and him writing down a little things. And then we start to talk with other people. So then there was this service design person that I was doing some courses together. And then I mentioned to her like, hey, we are doing this good base. It is like that. The values are like this. And then she was like, oh, it's nice. Maybe I could, support, do something. And then I said like, look, we are just building. If you want to join, feel free. And then she said, okay, let's talk with Nilo. Who is this guy? I don't know him, so it was this process, which she joined, but then later on, so 4 months ago, something like that, she decided not to continue with Good Base. So then she's not really one of the partners today. So, it's something like that. Maybe you find the people, that maybe you lose people. I think that in the end, the important part is that she's happy, so basically she doesn't want to do design anymore, which is kind of sad, but I mean, we are happy for her. So then let's say in between this, so when she came, there was a friend of mine that knew, because I talk a lot. So then he said like, hey, I know another person that has similar values and he's searching for something. And then we met. So this is Max. So we are three today. Like if you see our communication many times, you see me, Max, and Nilo. And then, we aligned together. So it was somebody that arrived after that. We had certain things of good base, but then, we were really aligned in the mindset. It's not just us. So we have other two amazing people that they are, part of Good Base. They are not the partners, but it's a developer that is our chief technology officer and our design intern, which is Matteo. Both of them great. And it's funny that the company that I want to open, that I mentioned to you previously, was with Marcello, which is the CTO today. So he's not a partner, but it's still somehow stars align later on. We can move forward. And then how we got our first clients, because, this is just a bit of the timeline, no? So of course, the beginning was personal network. We didn't, a lot of people say do as a freelance, do partita IVA separated, each one of you, and then you build something. No, we opened a company right away. We did all the risks and, probably not great economical choices because we didn't have clients, basically. It was just like, okay, let's do that. Let's find people. So yeah, a lot of people knew we were building this, so people contact us. I did some freelancing while I was working because I don't know, I like to do stuff. So those were the first ones, no? And then again, stars align when somebody call you. So one of our first clients, some were from the course that I did with the service design person that was our partner. Others were from the company that I worked previously, that he had a startup, so then he called us. And another one was my ex-boss that he said hey, somebody needs you. So it was very organic, no, the beginning. Of course, takes time. So there were a moment that we present something, like the first presentation we did, it became a real client after a year, not even for that project. But it was nice, to see that a little seed you plant, something that you show, can develop. So you need to be a bit patient, and I would say as well a bit resilient. Do the right economical choices. I live in Italy, but I'm Brazilian, and I struggle a lot with all this economical stuff. So if you want to do that, I think, you need to plan yourself well, or have people that, I don't know, will pay your bills, which was not my case. So anyway, like other way that we get into probably clients, we don't know, but it's like part of the things that we do are self-initiated projects. So we do some pro bono, but we do as well things that we like to do. So we said like, okay, we are interested about accessibility. AI is a topic. So one of the first things that we did was a research on this topic, like trying to ask people around. And then, we did a document, which, for me, there was nothing totally new, let's say. But it was interesting to see those two topics, let's say, connected. And maybe, people knew about us because of that. I don't know. We did a presentation at the Milan Digital Week with the Istituto Europeo di Design. And it was one of the service designers people as well that, did the masters here. So it's Chiara. So it was nice, like to have somebody that talks about accessibility that came to discuss the data that we found. And then we did as well a proposal for a festival, which never came into reality, basically. But it's now we started in January, like a monthly event that is kind of the spirit that we would like to bring for the festival. Next one. And I think we are getting closer to the end, let's say. Okay. So numbers, because maybe people will say like, okay, great values, great stuff. But tell me more about the numbers. So there is not a fixed price, of course. So it will always depend on effort, the scope, needed capability. You will always need to measure that. I don't like to calculate time. Time material is something that is sold in all consultancy and all the places that we see. Usually is the way to calculate. There is no way, it's super hard not to calculate it this way, because I will say, okay, I pay somebody for a month. How much is this daily, blah, blah, blah. But I think we should try to understand the value. So it's like, okay, what am I bringing to these people? And then, of course, we are in the beginning, so we will charge less than others. And hopefully you build such a good relationship that with time, both of you will grow. So we work a lot with smaller companies, I would say. So in general, even though we work for a few big ones. So a minimum project in our case should be at least around 5K. Getting lower than that can be tricky, because anyway, we are a team and we need to pay the other people. The partners, we can decide not to pay, but the others we need to pay. And we pay everybody right away. We don't wait 60 days or 30 days or whatever, which in many cases it happens. It's a cost that can be affordable, but it's not freelancing. So this is the other thing. When you are in studio, you need to have a little bit higher, which is tricky again, because some people will say like, oh, but maybe a freelance costs less, no? And then it's like, okay, if you need a freelance, and maybe I have a contact for you, and I'm happy to pass for you this person, because we need to survive. So we are flexible with the value-driven projects. So sometimes, or we do pro bono, or we will do a discount, because we say like, oh, it's so cool, it's so nice, we really would love to do this project. And then it can happen that would be lower, but usually not. The average ticket, so we have a year and a half, as I mentioned to you. So it's what we have as today. It's not the best, because this is the average of depending on the project, like how much we sell. Having this 10K as a middle is not the best, because if you have, again, a team of 5 and pay everybody, should be higher. And in our case, this happens because as well, we don't have such long projects. It's partially, sometimes it's longer, but many others are shorter because they are like brand identities. No? So like some things, it's kind of tricky, let's say. So our goal this year is to increase more stability, of course, with the clients, and be aware that clients might not pay you. With us, it happened, and it's not nice. And you need, many things that because of that, maybe you need a higher ticket, because, people are terrible, I would say so. Anyway, last one. So just to cover, so values that drive good base, transparency. So basically, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm not afraid to answer to anything. In our socials here, with a coffee, whatever you want, like we are super open, and we try to do the same with our actions. So like at good base, anybody that work with, that is inside of the company, which today is just 5 of us, but have access of all the prices and all the offers and everything that, what are the costs that we have and how much people pay us. So for us, this is important, like even with the clients, sometimes saying like, hey, don't do this because even though you know, I will receive more money makes no sense for you. So we try to be like very transparent on that. And the intention goes together because it's like, okay, what is my purpose? My purpose is that we will do projects that make sense, that we are happy. Because of that, we left other jobs. Like, I work in consultancy, I work in fintech. Did so many things that is like, why am I doing good base if I receive less money and I have more risks? Because of purpose. So we really want to try to keep that. And then, of course, there is the part of, like supporting ideas. So the progress of those other companies, because what we do, okay, can support a change, but the real change are our clients. So what they are doing, like if you can, bring to life things that, I don't know, can change a perspective or, bring value. It's not just like doing nice things for the world. Sometimes it's working for a bank can be anyway doing a nice thing for the world as well. So that's it. Sorry, it was a bit longer than I expected.
No worries, Liz. Thank you so much for the transparent talk. I loved it. And I would like to know if our audience have any questions. Guys, who would like?
Hi, Rajvi here.
Hi, Rajvi.
Hi, so I just want to introduce myself. It was great listening to all three of you. Really inspiring. So I am also a service design, like I studied in RCA London back in 2023 when I graduated. I came back to Ahmedabad. I'm from Ahmedabad, India. It's a very small town. Like exactly what you said in the beginning, Vincencio, that okay, you are also from a small town. So coming from a small town, like I came back to Ahmedabad, like trying to build my practice here. I also teach at design institutes like NID and CEPT about service design and design management. And right now I'm working independently with few clients, but planning to start my own studio also here. So like hearing your conversation about how you actually built what your journey is very relatable to me, and something that I am also like struggling right now is, of course, then I meet a lot of people, their clients who are interested, who understand the value also that I can bring to their business or their brands, but pricing exactly in the and what Lee has mentioned, that like how do you actually structure your price in a way that is something that's sustainable for you as well and sustainable for them as well. So that is something that I feel struggle with, because there's one project that I'm working on right now. It started with a lot of ambiguity, like they didn't had any directions to what they wanted to work with. So a lot of actually months and time and energy was spent into uh, reducing that complexity and understanding what is the right direction to go into. But then the client does not understand that, okay, now what is the deliverable that you're giving? I'm like, that time that I spent to reduce the complexity and to simplify and to get something on the track, that is also the time that I spent and is something that would be still chargeable for. So how do you like go across with all these small challenges? Like, of course, like number of hours and everything also keeps on changing every month. Yeah.
So there is a similar question as well in the chat from another person, no, that is talking about, okay, how you're curious about how you're pricing without discovery, especially because the scope can change heavily. So I think it's kind of similar in the sense that
Yeah.
there are those moments. I don't know, I work since 20 years. So I would say that more or less, what it costs and how much time. Not always you have a clear vision of what it is, no, but you have an idea. So let's say I know that to understand this problem, I might take, I don't know, 2 weeks. and what is the
Okay.
value out of that, no? Because of course, again, I don't like time, but at the same time, you
Yeah.
need a bit to calculate that, no? So then I put that in the price, and then at the same time, I would say that sometimes you make a mistake, or you never know how it's going to be, no? And you are in the beginning of a relationship as well with the client. So maybe this client is always like that. Sometimes not. It's the first time you are working together, and then you will really understand. And again, being clear with the client, no, it's like, okay, hey, why did I, what is the process, what I'm doing, and even in the moment that maybe I'm doing more than expected because of whatever reason, and it's okay, we are working the first time together, but making it clear, like, hey, next time if we are working together, now I did extra effort than what was, originally planned. So you cannot expect always to be this way, So I would basically, like, let's say, calculate more or less. Because of that, there is a ticket price, let's say, because it's like, okay, if I will need to start a project, I need to enter my mind into that. If I ask less than that price, it's not possible, no? And then, of course, when you have other people, it's a bit different, because you have as well different perspectives and, experience. So, I mean, maybe I take an hour to do something, another person would take 5. So that is the other part when you are working with a team, no? You will need to calculate different time of each person, more or less, or like in our case, we think always as a teamwork, so not as a single one. Yeah, I don't know. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
You're on mute.
Ria, Riti, you are on mute.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. I was saying thank you for the question, Rajvi, and thank you, Lais, for the interesting conversation. And now it's time to welcome our last speaker, last but not the least, Iti Seth. She's a partner at Trim House in India. She works at the intersection of systems thinking, behavioral design, and public services with a long commitment to equity at scale. So, welcome, Iti. You can take over.
Sure, yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm just coming off a bad cold, so please spare the voice. I'm going to be sharing today. I think, all three of them have shared beautifully about the journey that they've taken. And so I'm going to be talking less on my journey and maybe a little more on the craft, that when one gets into doing something in the guise of service design, like, the what Vincenzo clearly called out, undercover service designers, how does work turn around and what does it mean? So for me personally, it's largely been about being able to find those linkages, connect the dots, move forward with that. Personally, I've been very blessed to have worked in 3 very different planets. I studied design, then I worked in traditional Indian crafts for about 5 years, where I was working in Kashmir in Northeast India. So Kashmir is northern India, then Northeast India, which has a lot of cane, bamboo, and different kinds of weaving techniques. Working with as a facilitator. So I think when you work with people who've done things generationally, and yes, I've studied design, but then when you go into an ecosystem like that, you realize that you need to be the facilitator. There is this generational material intelligence with the community. So you just need to give them the right awareness of where it needs to go. So you don't need to play a designer's role. You just need to play the facilitator role, where they understand how are the markets thinking now, how will the distribution work out for them, and of course, enable them a better understanding of lifestyles of today, and then let them look at how they want their designs to evolve, and also the boundaries of where they don't want to do it. I then moved to working in medical devices. So from crafts, which is that every piece will be unique, it was medical devices where everything has to be precise. I worked there for about 13 years. This was the innovation arm of a larger global group, and we were, the group was a contract manufacturer for some of the international brands. So there was a team of engineers, designers, and patent attorneys working as an innovation team. So then, that starts to really sharpen the idea of how to look at innovation, because you're looking at it from all these different angles, and also as a service or as a process, how to start looking at product development. And then for the past 8-ish years, I have been leading Tree Mouse, which is a service and strategy design firm. And the kind of work that we do here is, we work with our partners to enable their systems or services to be more aligned with the markets that they are meant for. It's sector agnostic, so we would work with a consumer goods company. We would also work with some state health department on their health intervention. The work is largely centered in India with some little bit of work in South Africa, but largely India-based, clients and work. And when I say systems, it then, as service, it would mean that, yes, the people are involved. There, the relationships and the ecosystem that entire service is set in, which obviously now includes a lot of layer of other, digital and AI-led infrastructure. So even consideration around that would be involved if we are talking about designing a service. Just a basic glimpse of some of the kind of problems we are working on right now. And the idea here is not to go into detail of each, but maybe I'll use an example to parse some of the things that I wanted to share. And, what you see here are pretty broad mandates, but they don't start like that, So if how to make digital public services accessible for those with low agency, low literacy. India has been so far ahead in DPI. We were working with DPI's digital public infrastructure. We were working with Aadhaar, which is India's digital identity system, on enabling an understanding of what is resident centricity, what is citizen centricity for an organization that's almost like a mandatory service for us. So we have to have Aadhaar. It has no competition. When you are that much of a monopoly, how do you start thinking about the user? Does it even matter? And therefore, what should be these manifestations for it to matter? And something about a more corporate sector project where an MNC, a consumer goods company, an American MNC came in and said that they do home industrial products, and they wanted to look at what's the next refrigerator for this kind of India market and the next washer. And it started from there, and it eventually became how should research insight be fed into their teams? So how does the India team talk to the US team? And how does product development happen within the India team? Of course, we did that research, we did the market segmentation for them, but the eventual output became how can they now use this research as an innovation process once we've moved out. So they have their own designers and researchers, and their product development cycles are like 18 months because things have to be prototyped, then, Korea or China has to manufacture it, and sometimes India as well, and then it moves ahead. So like I was saying, it usually starts with something very clear. This client would come in and say, can you tell me what are users looking for when they think of a refrigerator and a washer? And, actually the context is everything else. I mean, those people are living at homes. Refrigerator, all our kitchen the life around the kitchen has changed because of quick commerce. Our food buying habits have changed. Because of everyone working, our eating patterns have changed. So all that also impacts the fridge, and not just the fridge, everything around in the kitchen. So it's important to start looking at this slightly bigger, these concentric circles around what is happening for it to become a service. So usually when things come to us, clients are not very confident of asking for a service design because nobody wants to deal with that many variables. Service design means that there will be a lot of things that will change. They are usually very clear that this is the brief, now go and do it. And what happens is, as we start uncovering, so our first discovery, our research will start to reveal that, what we are trying to solve are just symptoms, but they have connections elsewhere. The root causes are somewhere else. And then gradually we will try and get evidence and start to build the scope further. So that's usually been the approach with most of our work, that when it comes in for a very precise role, and as they start seeing value in the insights, most of them have been open enough to now solve for actually the root causes. So when it comes to, when there were conversations even now that when you're setting your practice, or otherwise when you're working with a client, and like you talked about that there was a question around there's so much ambiguity. So when it's that ambiguity, I think it's important to start mapping actors better, because service design, systems design will always carry ambiguity. There will always be higher variables. There will always be more volatility, especially in the global south, because in general our services and our structures aren't very well set. So it's important to start mapping, like even when we are saying stakeholders, who are the decision makers and who bear the risk of those decisions. So then when you're designing something, it's more equitable. It's the decisions are flowing well and are being adapted well. Also, like from a behavioral angle, what is incentivized, what is disincentivized. So therefore actions continue to happen on their own. And then, like I earlier said, data, trust, accountability as flows, one needs to design for them to continuously happen. So if you want the next step, you want a stakeholder to do something, somebody else should be asking of that output from, so there should be a demand supply loop closed at every action and decision that you want to enable in your design or in your service flow. And for us, some ways in which we've tried to tackle those ambiguities is having very explicit non-goals, that this is not what we will be able to achieve with this. These are out, And I think also as practitioners, we need that permission to feel comfortable that we will not be solving everything with this. We will still, there will still be spaces that we wouldn't have solved for. So I think also for, for the health of, it's a small team. So for us, as well as clarity with the client, we call out the the non-goals. Non-negotiables, again, very important to understand. There could be tech, there could be certain hierarchical, there could be physical infrastructure based non-goals. If you're working with a civic department of a city, that these things cannot change. Now you look at everything else, so that clarity. And at a human level, understanding how far can you push them into a bigger vision. So when you're trying to do something big, knowing as a team that, when's the right time to sort of take back. So those were probably some of the things that I wanted to share. And the idea being that, good service design should become invisible. It should be that well embraced that it becomes a part of your life. It shouldn't stand out, at least for the kind of work that we do. We are very clear that we want to design invisible solutions. that ultimately, once we've moved out of it, it should just be adopted, embraced by the community, and become a part of how they are running their lives. So that's largely what I wanted to share, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Iti. Thank you so much for the insightful talk. And yes, I would like to go on to the audience if they have any questions. Who would like to go?
So, Preeti, could I go?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Wonderful presentation, Iti. Really loved every analogy that you placed. It is like we will definitely. I'm personally definitely going to borrow them when I'm teaching next time for sure. And I guess Saksham is also going to do that as well. Like beautifully presented, and I loved what Vincenzo just wrote in the chat about service acupuncture. So a bit of appreciation. Then I wanted to ask a question to all of our speakers from a more community perspective. So about, because we are running the community, we are kind of trying to understand how to help our fellow service designers better. What I wanted to understand, that all of your journey has been a courageous journey, right? And it seems like they also, especially from when Vincenzo was talking, what I took away from his talk was that he decided to reopen SDD Bologna chapter. So kind of I wanted to understand from all of you, like when you take on a courageous journey like being a solopreneur or starting a small design agency, and then getting the first client, which is the nightmare, and you need a lot of support. So what role do you see the community playing in terms of supporting those journeys that we service designers or we multidisciplinary practitioners who have a little bit of interest in service design, what role do you see a community playing? Or yeah, just that is something I'm just curious to know from all of you.
Who want to start? I think that networking is playing a massive role. So getting to know people through training programs where you get to meet a lot of students, become beautiful professionals, such as Sonali just demonstrated. You meet a lot of people at the early stage of career, you build relationships, and on the medium long term, those come back. I've seen that through clients, and I've seen that as well doing pro bono projects or community type of value when you bring different organizations together. So service design drinks is about practitioners, decision makers, clients, or potential clients that come to a place which is safe enough where you're not selling anything, you're just sharing what you got, and everything comes back.
If I can add to that, I think that not just the service design drinks, no. So let's say all the communities, events related with design, I believe that can support on one side, let's say networking, of course, as Vincenzo mentioned, sharing the perspective. But I think it's as well like visualizing what can you do in that context, because maybe you see other people that can be similar to you. I don't know, like for me at least, it was like, okay, I'm a foreigner, and then I didn't know about, I was working first in agencies. Then I went to service design drinks, and then I saw this continued presentation about, a blueprint that they did. And then I was like, oh, this exists, because maybe I didn't have that background. And at the same time, I see like, okay, there are other foreigners here. Oh, there is this course. Like, I mean, you share so many perspectives in a place, of course, where, enforces conversation, which I think in many of the communities, it happens. It's not just going there, seeing other people talking and leaving, let's say.
I mean, if you also add a little bit about what do you expect from the communities to support you better, that would be something we would take, like it will be a takeaway for us as well.
I think, sorry, Sonia, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think, informal problem solving. So that's something that I look forward to communities for that there is a space to be heard, seen, and then take my half-resolved issues and ambiguous questions and try and solve it with someone else. The other someone may not have the answers, but is willing to solve it with me, have those conversations. So it may not need to be a third person story, but can I get my problems to a group and solve it together? So that definitely, I think, is something that I also look forward to. Otherwise, communities, I think, the safety net of a community is a big part, that sense of belonging, being able to reach out, being able to, like Vincenzo was saying, reach to newer dots or connect newer dots through them. I think that again becomes, which I think SDD for that matter has been doing. I mean, I'm based in Goa, so I haven't been part of the other SDD circles, but I'll figure out a way to now be more active.
You are here.
Yeah, Sonali, you can go ahead. You wanted to say something.
I just wanted to add to from networking, I would say learning also. So I think just networking is great, but I always like a little bit of something that's like facilitated, like case studies or just sharing knowledge. So I think that's great too. Like I like to know, like today was nice to know. So it's nice to know journeys, but it was nice to know, like Iti shared some like a project. I'd like to know how people are using tools and how service design is practically evolving. Like I think we all adapted so differently. So always curious to learn about that. So yeah.
Great. So I have a question to all of you, like all the four speakers. So, what is one thing that you would do differently if you were starting today? I think we can go ahead with Vincenzo first.
Well, it's interesting. Probably accepting earlier this. I have this quote by Buckminster Fuller, which really struggled me a lot throughout all my career, which is either you make sense or make money with your design career. And I was like, it must be a way through. I must find the balance point and the common ground between those. Probably was wiser than all of us, and he wrote a lot of it. So my struggle was fighting against this quote throughout all my life, and I will have change probably now by accepting it earlier. There are some projects where you can make money, and those are fair projects. We work with banks, we work with big clients and corporates. We do that through agencies, as Sonali was saying, because sometimes we are too small to do it directly. And we accept we accept the money, yes, but we do accept as well the constraints and the fact that you're not in control of your calendar. But we try to ring fence a lot our good intellectual freedom and control of our time, which is invaluable. There's no other job that can give us that. If I want to go, I got a 6 years old kid tomorrow, I'm taking him to the stadium to see for the first time a football match. And I can do that on a weekday as well if I want. And I think that's invaluable. And so accepting it earlier that making sense is creating value, even if you're not making big money, even if my colleagues are becoming design directors and whatever, having the sort of shiny career and the sort of traditional growth path in their career, I probably, yeah, I will accept that earlier and be myself earlier.
Amazing. Sonali, what is your take on it?
I do have a regret actually. I was, I think marketing, being better at building my brand. I was very starry-eyed when I came into my service design, like I'm going to be like build empathy in the workplace. So I used to just deliver projects. I wasn't so strategic. Like every time I did a participant, like taking their lists, adding them on LinkedIn, creating a database, creating a newsletter, building my outreach, my marketing was always an afterthought. Like I was just so busy with projects as a solopreneur. I think I should have done better. Like I've become way better in the last 3 years. Like Dubai put that pressure on me, to And I felt like I have an intern helping me with my content, my marketing. I have a newsletter called the Evolving Luxury Customer Experience that has 1,000 but targeted subscribers, because they're all like the brands, the people I work with. I swear, like I add them strategically. I take out time, and I've done it in 3 years, and I'm getting projects organically. I wish I had done this 10 years ago. I can't imagine what my brand equity would be. So yeah, the big regret is just focusing on your work and delivery.
Okay, I think we are already over time. I would like to know the answer from Lais and Iti, but just in like one or two word or sentence, like what would they do differently if they would start today?
So I will start. I wouldn't do anything differently. The only thing that I would
like
would be to be aware of certain business logic or like bureaucracy or whatever, like rights, I would say in general. I was very, let's say, used, I would say, in places that I work for, because I came from Brazil to Spain and then in the middle of a crisis. So anyway, like a lot of struggles as a foreigner and being paid very badly and having to do this stuff. So I would say, like, if I knew my rights before, maybe I would make it better. But like, I would say the choices are good. I'm happy the way that they are.
Nice. And Iti, what about
I
you?
think similar to Vincenzo, a more curated growth, that understanding of curating your own growth much earlier, where, financial growth is just one aspect of growth. And that multifaceted understanding, we now have it, but we should have had it much earlier, when Tree Mouse was just starting, probably then. So, yeah.
Can I make a question? I'm sorry. Can I?
Sure.
Just because ET, maybe when did you start Tree Mouse? How long ago?
Tree Mouse is 8 years old.
Okay. Because I mean, I'm 38 this year. I'm going to be 39. So I mean, maybe I start things later on. So I see like the answer of Sonali and Vincenzo and ET, and I'm like, the way that we structure things, we're like, I maybe already structured from the beginning because I'm old. Maybe they did that being younger. So which for the crowd is a good example.
Yeah, I think all of us have had different journeys, So I had
Yeah.
already worked for 18 years before Tree Mouse. So yeah, I'm 47, so worked for
Okay.
about 25, 26 years.
Pass
So
me
yeah.
your creams. I mean, you look great.
Thank you.
Okay, I
I
think we
feel
had
old now.
an amazing conversation. And I see that yes, our speakers are feeling that they're old, but no, for us. Okay, so I think we should move on to concluding the conversation. And in the audience, if you have any questions, I think you can reach out to our speakers on LinkedIn or on social media. And thanks a lot for your time, everyone, speak for all the speakers, for sharing your true and transparent story. It was really, really helpful. I'm sure the audience must be feeling the same thing. And thank you to all our friends and volunteers who have supported us, and because of whom we have been able to do this event and all our SDD events, I think, even in India, in Italy, everywhere. So thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.
Ciao. Thank you. Ciao.